The control room of Earth Space Command was quiet on that Tuesday morning. Only the soft beeping of computers and the gentle hum of the air system could be heard. Commander Elena Vasquez sat at her station, her dark hair pulled back in a neat bun, eyes fixed on the screens in front of her. Routine reports scrolled past showing normal activity across Earth's defense network. Then the alarm sounded. "Commander, we're picking up a signal from deep space," called out Lieutenant Park from the communications station. His fingers flew across the touchscreen as he worked to clear up the transmission. "It's coming from the Cerulean system." Elena stood up, her chair rolling back behind her. "Put it on the main screen." The large display at the front of the room flickered, then showed lines of strange symbols. The computer worked quickly to translate the alien language. As the English words appeared, everyone in the room grew still. "To any who hear this message, this is Ambassador Tallow V of the Cerulean Collective. Our worlds are under attack by the Vrex Imperium. They came without warning. Their ships fill our skies. We have no weapons. We have no warriors. Please, if anyone receives this, we beg for help. The Vrex will reach our homeworld in 6 days. We cannot stop them. We cannot fight, please." The message cut off suddenly, replaced by a set of space coordinates. Elena's jaw tightened. The Ceruleans had made contact with Earth just 3 years ago. They were a peaceful species from a gentle planet, a species that had been shocked to discover humans lived on what they called a Class 12 death world. Earth, with its powerful gravity, deadly animals, extreme weather, and toxic plants, was considered one of the harshest habitable planets in known space. The Ceruleans were tall, blue-skinned beings with 4 arms and large, sensitive eyes. They came from a world with low gravity, mild weather, and no dangerous animals. They had never needed to develop weapons or fighting skills. Their society focused on art, science, and exploration. "Get me Admiral Chen," Elena ordered, "and alert Fleet Doom." Within 30 minutes, Admiral Jackson Chen's face appeared on the main screen. His expression was serious as Elena explained the situation. "How long would it take Fleet Doom to reach the Cerulean homeworld?" he asked. "At maximum speed, 5 days, sir," Elena replied. "We could arrive just before the Vrex reach their homeworld." Admiral Chen nodded slowly. "The Ceruleans are under our protection by the First Contact Treaty. Prepare Fleet Doom for immediate departure. I'll meet you at the space dock in 3 hours." "Yes, sir." After the call ended, Elena turned to her team. "You heard the Admiral. We're going to help the Ceruleans." "But Commander," Lieutenant Park said quietly, "we've never actually fought an alien species before. Fleet Doom was built for defense, not war." Elena looked around at the worried faces of her crew. It was true. Despite the intimidating name and appearance of humanity's battle fleet, Earth had never engaged in space combat. The 12 massive warships of Fleet Doom, with their black hulls and red markings, were designed to look frightening. But they had never fired their weapons except in training exercises. "First time for everything, Lieutenant," she said with a small smile. "Besides, we're Deathworlders. Fighting is in our blood." 3 hours later, Elena stood in the massive hangar of Earth Space Dock Alpha, watching as crews loaded supplies and equipment onto the transport shuttles. Around her, hundreds of men and women in the dark uniforms of Earth Space Forces moved with purpose, preparing for departure. Admiral Chen approached, his tall figure easy to spot in the crowd. At 62, he was one of Earth's most experienced space commanders, though his experience was in exploration and diplomacy, not warfare. "Commander Vasquez," he greeted her. "Walk with me." They moved toward the observation window, which looked out on the enormous black shape of the Inevitable, the flagship of Fleet Doom. Even at rest, the warship looked dangerous, its hull designed to resemble ancient Earth predators, with angles and lines that triggered instinctive fear in most species. "What do we know about these Vrex?" Chen asked. "Not much, sir," Elena admitted. "The Ceruleans mentioned them only briefly in our cultural exchanges. They're described as an insect-like species, with a rigid social structure. Warriors, conquerors. They've attacked several other peaceful worlds in the past." Chen nodded, his eyes still on the ship outside. "And their technology level? Comparable to ours, possibly more advanced in some areas. They use plasma-based weapons and have organic synthetic hybrid ships. Numbers? Unknown, sir. But the message mentioned multiple ships. Chen was silent for a moment. Then he turned to face Elena directly. I'm making you my second in command for this mission, Commander. You know more about the Saralans than anyone else in the fleet. Elena straightened her shoulders. Thank you, sir. I won't let you down. I know you won't. Chen's expression softened slightly. You should know that Fleet Command is nervous about this mission. We're heading into unknown territory against an enemy we've never faced. The Saralans are our allies, Elena said firmly. We can't abandon them. I agree. Chen looked back at the inevitable. There's something else you should know. Dr. Sarah O'Malley has been assigned to the mission. Elena's eyes widened. The xenobiologist? Why? Because she's also the designer of Project Thunderclap. Elena had heard rumors about Project Thunderclap, a new weapon system designed specifically for space combat, something that could disable enemy ships without destroying them completely. It's still experimental, Chen explained. But if it works, it could give us an edge against the Vrex. Their conversation was interrupted by the announcement that boarding would begin in 15 minutes. All around them, crew members began moving toward the transport shuttles. One last thing, Commander, Chen said as they walked back toward the boarding area. The Saralans see us as dangerous because we come from a death world. They've always been a little afraid of humans, even while seeking our friendship. Elena nodded. I know, sir. After this mission, they might be more afraid of us. Or they might see our death world nature in a new light. Chen's face was solemn. Either way, Fleet Doom is about to live up to its name. 6 hours later, Fleet Doom departed Earth's orbit. From the surface, people watched as 12 massive warships activated, their engines appearing as bright stars moving across the night sky. Then, with a flash that briefly outshone the moon, they entered slipspace and vanished. On board the Inevitable, Elena stood on the bridge, watching the blue swirl of slipspace through the main view screen. The ship hummed with power around her, 5,000 crew members at their stations, preparing for what might be humanity's first interstellar war. She thought about the Saralans, with their gentle ways and peaceful society. She remembered Ambassador Talovi's visits to Earth, how the alien diplomat had flinched at the sound of thunder during a summer storm. How would such a gentle species survive an attack by warriors? Course laid in, Commander, reported the navigation officer. Estimated arrival at Cerulean space in 5 days, 7 hours. Thank you, Lieutenant, Elena replied. She took a deep breath, feeling the slightly higher oxygen content that humans preferred in their ships. Another adaptation from their death world, origin, the need for rich air to fuel their powerful muscles. The Vrex would learn what it meant to face Deathworlders in battle. Fleet Doom was coming. Fleet Doom traveled through slipspace, the 12 massive warships cutting through the blue-white swirl of bent reality. On the bridge of the flagship Inevitable, Admiral Jackson Chen studied the reports coming in from all ships. Everything was running smoothly. Engines at peak performance, weapon systems ready, crew morale high. Admiral, called out Lieutenant Wei Zhuang from the tactical station. I've compiled all available data on the Vrex Imperium as you requested. Chen nodded and moved to the tactical display. Show me what we're up against, Lieutenant. A holographic image appeared above the table. A tall insect-like creature with 6 limbs, a hard outer shell, and compound eyes that glowed with an eerie red light. The Vrex evolved on a low-gravity world, Wei explained. Their planet has only 0.7 of Earth's gravity. This allowed them to grow taller, but also means their bodies are less dense than ours. Their exoskeletons provide good protection, but they're not built for high-impact force. Chen studied the image carefully. Weapons? Plasma-based technology, mostly. Their ships appear to be part organic, part machine. The Saralans' data suggests each Vrex carrier can hold up to 3,000 warriors. And we're facing how many ships? We hesitated. The last transmission mentioned at least 20. A heavy silence fell over the bridge. Even with 12 warships, Fleet Doom would be outnumbered. Each human ship carried around 5,000 crew members, but most were engineers, medical staff, and support personnel. The actual combat teams numbered only a few hundred per ship. "Send this data to Dr. O'Malley," Chen ordered. "I want her analysis of Rex biology and potential weaknesses." As Wei sent the information, Chen turned to Commander Elena Vasquez. "I need to see Project Thunderclap. Now is the time to decide if we're going to use it." Deep in the secure section of The Inevitable, Dr. Sarah O'Malley worked in her laboratory. Screens surrounded her, showing complex diagrams and simulations. When Admiral Chen and Commander Vasquez entered, she looked up from her work, pushing a strand of red hair behind her ear. "Admiral," she greeted him. "I was just reviewing the Vrex biological data. Fascinating species." "Doctor?" Chen nodded. "I'm here about Project Thunderclap." Dr. O'Malley's expression grew serious. She pressed a button on her desk, and the lab door sealed shut with a soft hiss. "Of course, it's nearly ready for deployment." She led them to a large storage container in the corner of the lab. With another button press, the container opened, revealing what looked like a small satellite, a metal sphere about 1 meter across, with various antennas and sensors attached to its surface. "This doesn't look like a weapon," Elena observed. "That's intentional," Dr. O'Malley said with a small smile. "Project Thunderclap isn't designed to destroy. It's designed to disable." She activated a holographic display showing the device's internal components. The Vrex use a form of organic technology in their ships. Their vessels are actually grown rather than built, and they share a connection to the Vrex nervous system. This makes their ships incredibly responsive, but also vulnerable. "Vulnerable? How?" Chen asked. "Thunderclap generates a specific electromagnetic pulse that disrupts the connection between the Vrex and their ships. It essentially severs the neural link, leaving the vessels temporarily paralyzed." Elena looked at the device with new interest. "How many do we have?" 12, Dr. O'Malley replied. "One for each ship in the fleet. The range is limited, about 5 kilometers. We'll need to get close to deploy them effectively." Chen considered this information. "No permanent damage to the Vrex ships?" "None. Once the pulse fades, they'll regain control. But it should give us a window of about 15 minutes. 15 minutes to board their vessels or disable them permanently," Chen mused. "It could work." Dr. O'Malley nodded. "There's one more thing you should know, Admiral. The pulse won't affect the Vrex themselves, only their connection to their technology. If we board their ships, we'll still face armed warriors." "Understood. Thank you, Doctor." As they left the laboratory, Elena looked at Chen. "Sir, are we really planning to board Vrex vessels?" "If necessary," Chen replied. "I'd prefer to convince them to retreat without bloodshed, but we need to be prepared for all scenarios." On the 4th day of their journey, the fleet conducted combat drills. In the large training hall of the Inevitable, Marines practiced fighting in simulated Vrex environments. The gravity was lowered to match Vrex worlds, and holographic enemies attacked from all directions. Captain Marcus Diaz, leader of the ship's heavy infantry unit, moved with practiced ease despite the changing gravity. His powered armor enhanced his already considerable strength, allowing him to leap high into the air and come down with crushing force on a holographic Vrex warrior. "Remember," he called to his squad, "they'll be faster than us in their home gravity, but we'll be stronger. Work in pairs, watch your sectors, and don't let them surround you." From an observation platform above the training hall, Admiral Chen watched the exercises with Commander Vasquez. "They're ready," Elena said confidently. Chen wasn't so sure. They've never faced an actual alien enemy before. Simulations can only prepare them so much. "True," Elena admitted. "But we have something the Vrex don't." "What's that?" "Evolution on a death world," she said simply. "Humans have been fighting to survive since we first appeared on Earth. It's in our DNA." Chen was about to respond when his communication device beeped. "Bridge to Admiral Chen." "Chen here." "Sir, we're receiving another transmission from Cerulean. Space, it's breaking up badly, but we've managed to clean up parts of it. I'll be right there." On the bridge, the communications team worked frantically to enhance the weak signal. The main screen showed static, occasionally broken by glimpses of a blue face, a Cerulean, eyes wide with fear. 3 colonies fallen already. Approaching. Homeworld, please hurry. The message dissolved into static again. Chen's face hardened. Navigation, can we increase speed? The navigation officer shook his head. Not safely, sir. The engines are already at maximum. We'll be there in 36 hours, Elena said. Will that be soon enough? No one answered. No one knew. Chen straightened. His uniform. All ships, battle stations. I want everyone ready the moment we exit slipspace. Inform Dr. O'Malley to prepare Project Thunderclap for immediate deployment. Throughout Fleet Doom, alarms sounded. Crew members rushed to their posts. Weapon systems came online. In the armory, soldiers checked their equipment one last time. Send a message to the Ceruleans, Chen ordered. Tell them help is coming. Tell them to hold on. As the message was sent, Chen looked out at the swirling colors of slipspace. Soon, they would emerge near the Cerulean homeworld, and Fleet Doom would face its first real test. Commander Vasquez, he said quietly, if I fall in battle, you will take command. Elena met his gaze steadily. That won't be necessary, sir. Chen almost smiled. Let's hope you're right. In the final hours of their journey, an unusual calm settled over the fleet. The crews of all 12 ships went about their duties with quiet efficiency. Some wrote messages to loved ones back on Earth. Others spent time in the ship's chapels or meditation rooms. Elena found herself standing before a window in a quiet corridor, watching the patterns of slipspace flow past. Dr. O'Malley joined her, both women silent for a moment. Do you think we can win? Elena finally asked. Dr. O'Malley considered the question. The Vrex have numbers, they have experience, but we have something they can't understand. What's that? Earth. O'Malley's eyes were distant. We come from a world that tried to kill us every day of our evolution, where gravity crushed us, predators hunted us, diseases infected us, and weather destroyed us, and we survived it all. We thrived. The Vrex evolved on a gentle world compared to ours. They became warriors by choice. We became survivors by necessity. The ship's announcement system activated. All personnel prepare for slipspace exit in 15 minutes. Elena took a deep breath. I guess we're about to find out if being Deathworlders is enough. Dr. O'Malley nodded. We'll know soon. Throughout, Fleet Doom. Humans prepared to fight for an alien species they barely knew, against an enemy they had never met. The black warships surged forward, engines glowing red against the blue-white backdrop of slipspace. Fleet Doom was about to live, up to its name. Fleet Doom exited slipspace with a flash of light, 12 black warships emerging into normal space at the edge of the Cerulean system. On the bridge of the inevitable, Admiral Chen looked at the main screen and felt his heart sink. My God, someone whispered. The Cerulean homeworld was visible in the distance, a beautiful blue-green planet orbiting a red dwarf star. But surrounding the planet was the largest collection of alien vessels humanity had ever seen. At least 30 massive ships formed a blockade around the Cerulean world, with hundreds of smaller craft moving between them. Scan those ships, Chen ordered. I need information. Lieutenant Wei worked quickly at the tactical station. Sir, sensors confirm these are Vrex vessels. The large ones appear to be carrier ships, each about twice the size of the inevitable. The smaller craft are troop transports heading toward the planet's surface. Are they attacking? Commander Vasquez asked. Wei studied the sensor readings. Not exactly. They're landing, methodically. They've established control of the orbital stations and appear to be deploying ground forces to specific locations. Chen's eyes narrowed. Not a massacre, an invasion. Admiral, the communications officer called out. The Vrex don't appear to have noticed us yet. Their sensors are focused on the planet. Chen considered their options. Fleet Doom was outnumbered nearly 3-1. A direct assault would be suicidal, but they hadn't come this far to retreat. Commander Vasquez, What do the Cerulean city layouts look like? He asked. Elena brought up the information on her screen. The Ceruleans build their cities in circular patterns, with government and cultural centers in the middle. Most of their population lives in those central areas. And where are the Vrex landing their troops? Elena studied the data coming in from their long-range sensors. They're establishing perimeters around the major cities, but not entering the central districts yet. Chen nodded slowly as a plan formed in his mind. They're not destroying the Ceruleans. They're conquering them. He turned to the bridge crew. Here's what we're going to do. The Vrex haven't seen us yet, which gives us an advantage. All ships will activate stealth systems and move into position. The Inevitable will approach the Vrex command vessel. We'll deploy Project Thunderclap against their flagship first, then target their carrier ships. Sir, Wei said hesitantly, stealth systems have never been tested in actual combat. Then today will be quite educational, Lieutenant, Chen replied with a grim smile. Send orders to all ships. Execute Protocol Wraith. Throughout Fleet Doom, crews rushed to activate the experimental stealth technology. Unlike traditional cloaking devices that bent light, Earth's stealth systems used a combination of sensor jamming and heat dispersion to make the ships nearly invisible to standard detection methods. On the bridge of the Inevitable, tension built as the massive ship crept closer to the Vrex fleet. They were less than 10 minutes from optimal deployment range for Project Thunderclap. Sir, the communications officer said suddenly, I'm picking up transmissions from the surface. The Ceruleans are sending out emergency broadcasts from their cities. Let me hear them, Chen ordered. The speakers filled with the sound of a Cerulean voice, high-pitched and trembling with fear. The Vrex have surrounded Central City. Their soldiers are 20 kilometers from the Civic Center. We have no defenses. Please, if anyone can hear this. Chen cut the transmission with a sharp gesture. How long until we're in range? 7 minutes, Admiral. Not soon enough, Chen muttered. He tapped his console. Dr. O'Malley, report to the bridge immediately. When the scientist arrived 3 minutes later, Chen pointed to the tactical display showing the Vrex deployment. Doctor, we need options. The Vrex are already on the ground. Dr. O'Malley studied the display. We could deploy the heavy infantry to protect the Cerulean population centers while the fleet engages the Vrex ships. Drop pods? Elena asked. O'Malley nodded. Exactly. Captain Diaz and his teams could land directly in the Cerulean cities, ahead of the Vrex ground forces. Chen considered the idea. It was risky. They'd be sending soldiers to the surface while the space battle was still undecided. But the Ceruleans needed immediate protection. Make it happen, he ordered. Prepare 4 drop pods, 40 soldiers total. They'll secure the central district of the main city. As Dr. O'Malley hurried to organize the ground mission, the Inevitable continued its silent approach toward the massive Vrex command ship. The alien vessel was an intimidating sight, its hull a strange combination of metal and what appeared to be organic material, covered in spines and bulges that gave it the appearance of a gigantic insect. 2 minutes to optimal deployment range, Wei reported. Chen straightened in his command chair. All ships prepare to emerge from stealth on my mark. Weapons systems online. Target engines and weapons only. We want to disable, not destroy. Throughout Fleet Doom, gunners powered up the massive railguns, simple but devastatingly effective weapons that fired solid projectiles at incredible speeds. Unlike the energy weapons used by most spacefaring species, railguns couldn't be stopped by standard shields. 1 minute. In the launch bay of the Inevitable, Captain Marcus Diaz and his heavy infantry squad checked their equipment one final time. The drop pods, essentially armored cylinders designed to survive atmospheric entry, stood ready. Each soldier wore powered armor that enhanced their strength and provided protection against Vrex weapons. Remember, Diaz told his team, our priority is civilian protection. The Ceruleans have no combat experience. They'll be counting on us to defend them. 30 seconds. On the bridge, Chen opened a channel to all ships in the fleet. This is Admiral Chen. In moments, we will engage in humanity's first interstellar combat mission. We fight today not for Earth, but for a peaceful species who asked for our help. Show the Vrex what it means to face Deathworlders in battle. 10 seconds. Chen gripped the arms of his command chair. Deploy Thunderclap. From the underside of the Inevitable, a small object launched, streaking toward the Vrex flagship. It covered the distance in seconds, attaching itself to the alien vessel's hull. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a pulse of invisible energy spread from the device, washing over the Vrex command ship. The effect was immediate. The organic parts of the ship seemed to spasm, and the vessel began to drift. Thunderclap successful, Wei reported. Vrex flagship shows loss of power and control systems. All ships emerge from stealth. Target the carrier vessels closest to the planet. Launch drop pods, Chen ordered. In an instant, Fleet Doom appeared. In the Cerulean system, 12 black warships with glowing red highlights, weapons ready, engines burning bright against the darkness of space. The Vrex fleet, caught by surprise, responded with confusion. Some ships turned to face the new threat, while others maintained their positions around the planet. "Sir, the Vrex are hailing us," the communications officer reported. "Put them through," Chen said. The main screen flickered, and a Vrex commander appeared. The alien was just as the files had described, insect-like, with a hard exoskeleton and compound eyes that glowed red. When it spoke, its mandibles clicked. "Unknown vessels." The translation came through. "You have entered Vrex conquest territory. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed." Chen stood, facing the screen directly. "This is Admiral Jackson Chen of Earth Fleet Doom. You are attacking allies of humanity. Cease your invasion and withdraw from Cerulean space immediately." The Vrex commander's mandibles twitched in what might have been amusement. "Earth, the death world. We have heard of your species. Your reputation is interesting, but you are outnumbered. Leave now and we will allow you to live." Chen's voice was cold. "We're not going anywhere, and neither is your flagship." As if to emphasize his point, the Vrex command ship continued to drift, its system still disabled by Project Thunderclap. The Vrex commander's eyes flashed. "You will regret this decision." The screen went dark. "They're powering weapons," Wei reported. "All Vrex vessels are breaking formation to engage." Chen nodded. "And so it begins. All ships, fire at will." Fleet Doom opened fire, the first shots of humanity's first interstellar war streaking across space toward the Vrex fleet. Space lit up with flashes of light as Fleet Doom and the Vrex armada exchanged fire. The human ships moved in a tight formation, focusing their attacks on specific targets. The Vrex responded with waves of plasma torpedoes that streaked across the void. On the bridge of the Inevitable, Admiral Chen watched the tactical display. "Status report." Lieutenant Wei's fingers flew across his console. 3 Vrex carriers disabled. 2 of our ships reporting minor damage. The Dauntless has lost shield capability on its port side. "Order the Dauntless to fall back and provide covering fire for the drop pods," Chen commanded. Below decks, Captain Marcus Diaz and his heavy infantry teams loaded into the drop pods. Each armored cylinder could hold 10 soldiers in full combat gear. The inside was cramped with padded restraints to hold the soldiers during the violent descent through a planet's atmosphere. 30 seconds to launch, came the announcement over the speakers. Diaz checked his rifle one last time, then secured his helmet. The faces of his soldiers showed a mix of determination and tension. They were about to make history, the first human troops to fight on an alien world. "Remember your training," he told them. "The Cerulean gravity is only 0.6 of Earth's. You'll jump higher and move faster than you expect. Use it to your advantage." "What about the Ceruleans themselves, sir?" asked Sergeant Rodriguez. "Will they help us fight?" Diaz shook his head. "The Ceruleans have no warriors. Our job is to protect them, not recruit them. They've never seen combat before. They'll likely be terrified of us as well as the Vrex." 10 seconds to launch. "Heavy infantry," Diaz called out. "What are we?" "Deathworlders," his soldiers responded in unison. "And what do Deathworlders do?" "Survive." The drop pods launched with a violent jerk, shooting out from the underside of the Inevitable like bullets from a gun. They streaked toward EU. the blue-green surface of the Cerulean homeworld, trailing fire as they entered the atmosphere. Back in space, the battle intensified. The Vrex had recovered from their initial surprise and were now coordinating their attacks. 3 massive carriers surrounded the human ship Defiant, hammering it with plasma fire. "The Defiant is taking heavy damage," Wei reported. "Their engines are failing." Chen's face remained calm despite the dire news. "Order all ships to deploy the remaining Thunderclap devices. Target the lead Vrex vessels." As more of the special weapons were launched, Dr. O'Malley entered the bridge. "Admiral, I've analyzed the Vrex communication patterns. They use a hierarchical command structure. Each group of ships is controlled by a sub-commander who reports to the main flagship." "Which is currently disabled," Chen noted. "Exactly, but the effect won't last much longer. Thunderclap's disruption is already weakening." Chen considered this information. "So if we take out the sub-commanders, the rest will be disorganized." "Yes," Chen turned away. "Identify the Vrex command vessels for each battle group. Prioritize those targets." The human ships adjusted their strategy, focusing fire on the smaller command vessels rather than the massive carriers. The effect was immediate. Sections of the Vrex fleet began to lose coordination, their movements becoming less organized. "It's working," Elena observed. "But they still outnumber us." Chen nodded grimly. "We don't need to win. We just need to hold them until our ground forces can secure the Cerulean population." The drop pods crashed into the outskirts of the main Cerulean city, their impact sending up clouds of dust and debris. The pod's doors blew outward, and Captain Diaz was the first to emerge, rifle ready. The alien landscape was both familiar and strange. The gravity pulled at him gently, making him feel lighter than he was used to. The sky above was a deep reddish purple, the light of the red dwarf star casting everything in a warm glow. Tall, delicate structures rose in the distance, the central district of the Cerulean capital. "Move out," he ordered. "Form a perimeter. Rodriguez, take your squad and scout ahead." As the soldiers deployed, Diaz activated his communication system. "Diaz to Inevitable. We've landed safely and are proceeding to the city center." Admiral Chen's voice came through with static. "Understood, Captain. Be advised, Vrex ground forces are approximately 10 minutes from your position. Secure the civilians." "Copy that," Diaz replied. He turned to his troops. "Double time, people. We need to reach the Ceruleans before the Vrex do." The heavy infantry moved quickly through the alien city. Their powered armor enhanced their already considerable earthborne strength, allowing them to cover ground rapidly despite their heavy equipment. As they approached the central district, they began to see Ceruleans for the first time. The blue-skinned aliens were tall and slender, with 4 arms and large expressive eyes. They were civilians, scientists, artists, teachers, not soldiers. When they saw the humans in their black armor carrying weapons, many fled in terror. "We need to find someone in charge," Diaz said. He approached one Cerulean who hadn't run away, an older individual wearing elaborate robes. "We're from Earth. We're here to help." The translator in his helmet converted his words into the musical language of the Ceruleans. The alien's large eyes widened and it spoke rapidly. "The Deathworlders came," the translation said. "You actually came to help us." "Yes. Where are your leaders? We need to get your people to safety." The Cerulean gestured toward a large dome-shaped building in the center of the district. "The council is there in the Hall of Harmony. But there are thousands of citizens in the central district. We cannot evacuate before the Vrex arrive." Diaz looked at the building, then back at his small force of 40 soldiers. They were going to be outnumbered, possibly by hundreds to 1. "We don't need to evacuate," he said. "We just need to hold position until our fleet deals with the Vrex ships." He turned to his second-in-command. "Lieutenant Park, take half our forces and secure that central building. I'll take the rest and set up defensive positions at these main approaches." As the soldiers moved to carry out his orders, Diaz studied the layout of the city. The Ceruleans built with beauty in mind, not defense. There were few natural choke points or easily defensible positions. This was going to be a difficult fight. "Captain," Sergeant Rodriguez called out. "Sensors are picking up Vrex signatures approaching from the north and east." At least 300 ground troops. Diaz checked his weapon. Then we have work to do. Get the civilians inside the central buildings. Set up barricades using whatever materials you can find. And contact the ship. Tell them we could use some air support. In orbit, the battle had reached a critical point. 4 human ships had taken serious damage, and one, the Defiant, was now drifting with its engines disabled. The Vrex had lost more vessels, but their superior numbers were beginning to tell. And worse, the thunderclap device on the Vrex flagship was wearing off. The massive command ship was showing signs of power returning to its systems. "Admiral," we reported, "the Vrex flagship is coming back online. Estimated time to full power restoration, 2 minutes. Chen's mind raced through options. "Commander Vasquez, prepare a boarding party. We're going to take that flagship." Elena looked shocked. "Sir, that's extremely risky." "So is allowing that ship to regain control of the Vrex fleet," Chen replied. "Dr. O'Malley, you'll accompany the boarding party. Your knowledge of Vrex biology might be crucial." The scientist nodded, though she couldn't hide her nervousness. "Sir," the communications officer interrupted, "we're receiving a transmission from Captain Diaz on the surface. Vrex ground forces are converging on their position. They're requesting air support." Chen looked at the tactical display, showing both the space battle and the situation on the planet. He had to make a difficult choice: divert resources to support the ground troops or focus on the space battle. Launch all fighter craft, he decided. Have to support our ships, have to provide air cover for Captain Diaz. As the orders were carried out, Chen turned to Elena. "Commander, you have the bridge. I'm leading the boarding party myself." Elena started to protest, but Chen cut her off. "This is not a discussion. If we take control of that flagship, we can end this battle. It's worth the risk." As Chen left the bridge, Elena took the command chair, her eyes on the tactical display where both space and ground battles were unfolding simultaneously. Fleet Doom was fighting for its life, and for the lives of an entire alien civilization. "All ships," she ordered. "Concentrate fire on the vessels threatening the inevitable. We need to clear a path to the Vrex flagship." Captain Marcus Diaz crouched behind a makeshift barricade at the edge of the Cerulean Central District. His soldiers had used overturned vehicles, furniture, and whatever else they could find to create defensive positions. The beautiful alien city, with its delicate spires and flowing architecture, was not built for war. "Status report," he called into his comm unit. "East Sector secure," came Lieutenant Park's reply. "We've moved about 200 civilians into the central building. The Cerulean Council is cooperating, but they're terrified." "North Sector barricades in place," reported Sergeant Rodriguez. "Motion sensors deployed. We'll have about 30 seconds of warning when the Vrex arrive." Diaz checked his weapon systems. The powered armor of Earth's heavy infantry enhanced his strength and provided protection against most weapons. But they were still just 40 soldiers against hundreds of Vrex warriors. "Remember," he told his troops, "we're fighting on low gravity. Use your jump jets to gain height advantage. The Vrex evolved on a similar gravity world. They won't be as disoriented as they would be on Earth." A young Cerulean approached Diaz cautiously. Unlike the others who had fled, this one seemed curious about the human soldiers. "You are from the Death World," the translator rendered the alien's musical speech. "Is it true that on your planet, the very air can kill?" Diaz smiled inside his helmet. "Sometimes. We have storms that can flatten cities and temperatures that can freeze blood." The Cerulean's large eyes blinked rapidly. "Yet you survived, and now you fight for us, strangers from another world." "That's what humans do," Diaz replied simply. "We help those who need it." Their conversation was interrupted by an alert from the motion sensors. "Contact," Rodriguez called out. "Multiple Vrex signatures approaching from the north and east, ETA 2 minutes. Diaz turned to the Cerulean. "Get to the central building. Stay there until we come for you." As the alien hurried away, Diaz took position behind the northern barricade. In the distance, he could see them coming, hundreds of Vrex warriors moving in perfect formation. They were tall, insect-like creatures with 6 limbs and gleaming exoskeletons that served as natural armor. "All units," Diaz ordered, "hold fire until they reach the first sensor line. Make every shot count. The Vrex advanced methodically, their weapons held ready. Unlike humans with their bulky powered armor, the Vrex moved with a fluid grace, their bodies naturally adapted to combat. "Steady," Diaz murmured as the aliens approached the first line of sensors. "Steady." The lead Vrex crossed the invisible line. "Fire." The human weapons opened up, sending streams of bullets toward the advancing aliens. The heavy infantry used specialized ammunition, dense metal projectiles designed to penetrate the Vrex exoskeletons. The first wave of Vrex fell, but more kept coming. They returned fire, plasma bolts streaking toward the human positions. One hit near Diaz, melting part of the barricade into slag. "Jets," Diaz commanded. "Vertical advantage." The soldiers activated their jump jets, soaring high above the barricades in the low Cerulean gravity. From above, they rained down fire on the Vrex, who were momentarily confused by the tactic. The aliens had never faced enemies who could change position so rapidly, but the Vrex adapted quickly. They spread out, making themselves harder to hit, and some began climbing the nearby buildings to gain their own height advantage. "They're flanking us on the east," Park warned through the comm. Diaz could see it happening. The Vrex were splitting their forces trying to surround the defenders, and it was working. There were simply too many of them. "Fall back to secondary positions," he ordered. "Controlled. Retreat." The soldiers began to pull back toward the central district, maintaining fire as they moved. The Vrex pressed forward, sensing an advantage. Then from above came salvation. Human fighter craft screamed through the alien sky, their weapons blazing. The small, agile ships targeted the largest concentrations of Vrex troops, forcing the aliens to scatter and take cover. "This is Eagle Squadron," came a voice over Diaz's comm. "Heard you needed some air support, Captain." "Your timing is perfect, Eagles," Diaz replied. "Focus on the east flank. They're trying to circle around us." The fighters banked and turned, engines glowing as they made another pass over the Vrex positions. But as effective as they were, the fighters couldn't stay long. They were needed. "In the space battle above. Captain, we can give you 10 minutes of coverage, then we have to return to the fleet," the squadron leader informed him. "Make it count," Diaz replied. He turned to his troops. "We have 10 minutes to regroup and strengthen our position. Move." In orbit, the battle had reached a critical phase. The human boarding craft carrying Admiral Chen, Dr. O'Malley, and a Yaski team of Marines approached the Vrex flagship, which was still partially disabled from the thunderclap device. "We'll dock at the secondary access port," Chen instructed. "According to the scans, it's the least defended entry point." The small craft maneuvered carefully around debris from damaged ships, approaching the massive Vrex vessel from below. The alien ship was enormous, nearly 3 kilometers long, with an organic-looking hull that seemed to pulse with life. "Sir," said the pilot, "I'm detecting movement in the hull around the access port." Chen leaned forward to look through the viewport. The surface of the Vrex ship was changing, the material flowing like liquid to cover the access port. "They know we're coming," Dr. O'Malley observed. "The ship is responding to a threat." Chen didn't hesitate. "Blow the port, now." The boarding craft fired a concentrated blast at the closing port, creating a jagged hole in the Vrex ship's hull. The pilot expertly guided their vessel through the opening before it could close again. With a jarring thud, they landed inside what appeared to be a cargo bay. The interior of the Vrex ship was even stranger than the outside, a combination of mechanical technology and organic tissue, with pulsing lights running along what looked like veins in the walls. "Atmosphere is breathable but thin," Dr. O'Malley reported, checking her scanner. "Similar to their homeworld." Chen nodded. "Helmets on, but save your oxygen. We move in standard formation. Target is the bridge, or whatever they use as a command. Center." The boarding team moved cautiously through the alien vessel. The corridors were unusually tall and narrow, designed for Vrex physiology. At several junctions, they encountered Vrex crew members. Most fled at the sight of the heavily armed humans, but a few fought back with plasma weapons. "They're not soldiers," Dr. O'Malley noted after they subdued one attacker. "These are ship crew. The warriors must be deployed elsewhere." "Let's hope it stays that way," Chen replied. They made their way deeper into the ship, following the increasing density of the vein-like structures in the walls. Dr. O'Malley theorized that these would lead to the most important part of the vessel. Finally, they reached a large circular chamber filled with glowing pods. In the center was what appeared to be a Vrex, but larger than the others they had seen, connected to the ship itself by multiple organic cables. "The commander," whispered Dr. O'Malley. "It's physically linked to the ship's systems." Chen stepped forward, his weapon aimed at the alien. "I am Admiral Jackson Chen of Earth Fleet Doom. You will order your forces to stand down and withdraw from Cerulean space immediately." The large Vrex turned its head slowly, compound eyes glowing with an eerie red light. "Earth human," it clicked in its own language, which their translators converted. "You are brave to come here, but you cannot win this war." "This isn't a war," Chen replied. "It's a rescue mission, and it ends now, either with your withdrawal or your defeat." The Vrex commander made a sound that might have been laughter. "Look at your fleet, human. You are outnumbered. Your ships are failing. And on the planet, your soldiers are surrounded." "Check again," Chen said calmly, gesturing to a nearby view screen showing the battle outside. The Vrex turned to look and saw that the tide had changed. While Chen's boarding party had been fighting their way to the command center, Commander Vasquez had implemented a new strategy. The human ships had regrouped and were now focusing all their firepower on one Rex vessel at a time, quickly overwhelming its defenses before moving to the next target. "The weakness of a hive mind," Chen explained. "You think and act as one, which makes you predictable," the Vrex commander hissed. "You will still lose, Deathworlder. We have conquered dozens of worlds." "The Ceruleans will be next." Chen stepped closer, his voice low and dangerous. "Not while we're here. Now one last time, order your forces to withdraw." The standoff was interrupted by a massive explosion that rocked the flagship. The lights dimmed, and the organic cables connecting the Vrex commander to the ship pulsed erratically. "Admiral," Dr. O'Malley called out, checking her scanner. "Something's happening in orbit." Chen tapped his communication device but received only static. Whatever was happening outside, they were cut off from it. The Vrex commander chittered rapidly, its compound eyes flickering as it received information through its connection to the ship. "Impossible," it hissed. "They cannot be here. Not now." "Who?" Chen demanded. "What's happening?" The answer came not from the Vrex, but from Dr. O'Malley, who was staring at her scanner in disbelief. "New ships," she said. "Dozens of them. And they're not Vrex." The new ships emerged from slipspace in perfect formation. Sleek vessels with gleaming hulls that seemed to shimmer with iridescent colors. There were dozens of them, surrounding both the human and Vrex fleets in a containment pattern. On the Bridge of the Inevitable, Commander Elena Vasquez stared at the tactical display in disbelief. "Where did they come from? Identify those ships." Lieutenant Wei worked frantically at his console. "Unknown design, Commander. They're not in our database, but they're powerful. Energy readings off the scale." A communication request came through, and Elena hesitated only briefly before accepting it. The main screen activated, showing a being. Unlike either human, Cerulean, or Vrex, this new alien had a reptilian appearance with scaled skin that shifted colors like the hulls of their ships. "Vessels of Earth and the Vrex Imperium," the alien spoke in perfect English. "This is High Observer, Stalax of the Galactic conquered. Cease hostilities immediately." Elena straightened her uniform. "This is Commander Elena Vasquez of Earth Fleet Doom. We are defending the Cerulean people against Vrex aggression." The High Observer's vertical pupils narrowed. "We are aware of the situation, Commander. Your Admiral Chen is currently aboard the Vrex flagship. We will transport both him and the Vrex commander to neutral ground for discussion." Before Elena could respond, the transmission ended. The mysterious ships maintained their position, neither attacking nor retreating. "Orders, Commander?" Wei asked. Elena considered their options. The newcomers clearly possessed technology far beyond either human or Vrex capabilities. Fighting them would be suicidal. "Hold position," she decided. "Maintain defensive posture, but do not fire unless fired upon, and get me a direct line to Captain Diaz on the surface." On the Cerulean homeworld, the battle had reached a stalemate. The human fighters had inflicted significant damage on the Vrex ground forces before returning to space. Captain Diaz and his soldiers had used the respite to strengthen their defensive positions around the central district. "How much longer can we hold?" Lieutenant Park asked, checking their ammunition supplies. "As long as necessary," Diaz replied. Though he knew they were running low on both ammo and energy for their powered armor, his communication device activated. "Captain Diaz, this is Commander Vasquez. Be advised, new players have entered the field. Unknown alien species calling themselves the Galactic Concord. They've ordered a ceasefire." "The Vrex are still advancing, Commander," Diaz reported. "They don't seem to have gotten the message." "Stand by," Vasquez replied. Moments later, something extraordinary happened. The Vrex troops suddenly stopped their advance. As one, they lowered their weapons and began to withdraw from their positions. "What's happening?" Rodriguez asked. "Are they retreating?" Diaz watched in amazement as the alien warriors formed neat columns and marched away from the city. Not retreating, they're standing down. His comm unit activated again, but this time it wasn't Vasquez. The voice was unfamiliar, with a slight hissing quality. "Captain Marcus Diaz of Earth. I am High Observer Sistalax. Your presence is requested at the Cerulean Council Hall immediately. The conflict has ended." Admiral Chen found himself in a strange place. One moment he had been on the Vrex flagship, confronting their commander. The next he was standing in a large circular room with walls that seemed made of light. The Vrex commander was there too, disconnected from its ship and looking disoriented. Also present were several Cerulans, including one wearing the elaborate robes of a high official. And standing at the center of the room were 3 of the reptilian aliens. "Welcome, Admiral Chen," said the one in the middle, whom Chen recognized as the High Observer from the view screen. "I apologize for the abrupt transportation, but time is of the essence." "Who are you?" Chen demanded. "Why have you interfered in this conflict?" "We are the Galactic Concord," Sistalax explained. "We are the oldest civilization in this sector of the galaxy, and we maintain peace between worlds." The Vrex commander chittered angrily. "The Concord has no authority over the Imperium." "Silence," one of the other reptilians said, and the Vrex immediately fell quiet, as if compelled by some unseen force. Stalax turned to Chen. "Admiral, what I am about to tell you will be difficult to accept. The attack on the Cerulans was not what it appeared to be." "Explain," Chen said flatly. "It was a test for humanity." The room fell silent as Chen processed this information. "A test? People died in this test of yours?" "No." The Cerulean official stepped forward. "No Cerulans died, Admiral. The Vrex were under strict orders to avoid casualties. Their weapons were set to non-lethal power levels." Chen looked between the aliens in disbelief. "You're saying this entire conflict was staged?" "Not staged," Sistalax corrected. "Controlled. The Vrex Imperium serves the Concord as our military arm. The Cerulans are under our protection. This was a carefully designed scenario to evaluate how humanity would respond to a call for help from a weaker species." "Why?" Chen demanded, anger building in his voice. "Because you are Deathworlders," the High Observer replied simply. "Your species evolved on one of the harshest planets we have encountered. This makes you concerning to many civilizations in the galaxy." The Cerulean official nodded. "When we discovered Earth 3 years ago, many in the Concord advocated for quarantine. They feared that humans, with their natural strength and aggressive tendencies, would become conquerors if allowed to join the galactic community. So you set up this elaborate scenario to see if we would help the Cerulans or exploit their weakness," Chen said, understanding dawning. "You wanted to know if we would use our death world advantages for good or ill." "Precisely," Sistalax confirmed. "And you have exceeded our expectations, Admiral. Your people risked their lives for a species they barely knew. You showed restraint in your tactics, aiming to disable rather than destroy. Even your boarding of the flagship was done with minimal casualties." Chen was not appeased. My soldiers are still fighting on the surface. People on both sides have been injured. The conflict has already ended, Sistalix assured him. The Vrex forces have withdrawn. Your Captain Diaz is being briefed as we speak. In the Cerulean Council Hall, Captain Diaz listened in stunned silence as another representative of the Galactic Concord explained the situation. Around him, his soldiers exchanged bewildered glances. So none of this was real? Diaz finally asked. The Vrex weren't actually invading. The battle was real, the reptilian alien clarified. But the context was controlled. The Vrex would have withdrawn before causing permanent harm to any Cerulean city. Diaz removed his helmet, running a hand through his short hair. With all due respect, that's a hell of a way to conduct a test. My people were prepared to die defending the Ceruleans. And that is precisely why you passed, the Concord representative said. Humanity could have ignored the distress call. You could have demanded payment or territory or technology in exchange for your help. Instead, you sent your fleet and your soldiers to protect a peaceful species that couldn't protect themselves. Diaz looked around at the ornate council hall, filled with Ceruleans who were now watching the humans with expressions of awe rather than fear. What happens now? He asked. Now, the Concord representative replied. Humanity is invited to join. The Galactic conquered as full members. 1 week later, Admiral Chen stood on the observation deck of the Inevitable, watching as the Cerulean homeworld grew smaller in the distance. Fleet Doom was returning to Earth, accompanied by 2 Concord vessels. Commander Vasquez joined him, handing him a data tablet. The final report, sir. 11 injured on our side, all expected to recover fully. The Defiant will need extensive repairs, but no ships lost. Chen nodded, still processing everything that had happened. What do you think of our new allies? Commander? Elena considered the question. Their technology is far beyond ours, and their methods are questionable. But they seem genuine in their desire for peace. Peace maintained through strength, Chen observed. They used the Vrex as their military arm because they themselves had forgotten how to fight. And now, they want us to join them, Elena said. Because we remember. Chen looked out at the stars, thinking about Earth and its long history of conflicts and cooperation. Deathworlders, he murmured. They call us that like it's something to fear. But they don't understand what it really means. What does it mean, sir? It means we know the value of life precisely because it's so fragile on our world, Chen replied. We fight fiercely because we know what it means to lose. We protect others because we understand what it means to be vulnerable. As they spoke, a message came through from Captain Diaz, who was on one of the Concord vessels with Dr. O'Malley, studying their technology. Admiral, you won't believe what they're showing us. Diaz's excited voice came through. They have maps of thousands of worlds, many with species that have never encountered anyone from outside their systems, and they've asked if Earth would consider becoming protectors for some of the peaceful races that can't defend themselves. Chen couldn't help but smile. Protectors, not conquerors. I think we can live with that role, Captain. As Fleet Doom continued its journey home, carrying the news that would forever change humanity's place in the galaxy, Chen reflected on the strange irony of it all. Earth had been feared for being a death world, a harsh planet that created stro.